company has grown incredibly in the past 3 years. We went from a micro-cap company with what some perceived as a massive option payment to Mexican mining companies to now the largest undeveloped high-grade silver deposit in the world as of our last resource update. And, you know, that was the first one we did. The last one we did, I actually didn't present. It was our chairman, Craig Perry. And so I'm going to try to emulate, I'm going to do my best Craig Perry impersonation here. And if some of you were here, you would have seen, or you would have heard him say billion ounces a lot. So I wrote that on my hand here so I don't forget. I better grab this here. So Vizsla, we're listed on the New York Stock Exchange and the TSX-V. What we're doing is actively advancing a district scale discovery in Mexico. And Mexico is the best place for this. If you didn't know anything about silver and you wanted to go buy, you know, the biggest silver deposits in the world, you'd go to Mexico. Mexico's the #1 producer of silver. So it's a great place to be. And this is an excellent project. And I should say as well, you know, we are very well funded now. We announced a financing yesterday that's expected to close in the coming weeks here, but that was a very well placed financing with a small handful of institutional investors. So the only way to really buy the shares these days right now is on the market, either New York or the venture. So Vizsla's vision is to become one of the world's largest single asset silver producers through discovery, development, and production at the 100% owned Panuco precious metals district in Mexico. And the way that we'll do this is by unlocking value here at the project. If any of you in the room have been to the project, some of us, it looks like some of us have been here before in the crowd. So, you know, you'll remember flying to Mazatlan Airport, which is oftentimes a direct flight from Vancouver. You turn right out of the airport, and for 45 minutes, you drive up one of these 2 highways to get to the project. It's one of the best infrastructure projects I've seen in my life. It's probably the best infrastructure project in Mexico in that sense, in accessibility. And because of these highways that run through the property, you know, we benefit from access to the veins that we drill and explore. But we also benefit and will benefit in the future from the infrastructure like the high tension power that runs through the property, and a lot of the older production infrastructure that we inherited here at the project. You'll notice here let me see if I can laser, you'll notice here in the west part of our district, you'll see blue and red there. The blue and red represent our resources indicated and inferred. But you'll see it's a concentration of metal in that part of the project. That's a natural center of mass that's been developed here as we drilled. It's not to say that's the only place that has silver and gold. We have other areas like Animas and San Antonio. As a matter of fact, there's many veins that run through the property. This has been the low-hanging fruit for us to explore. And this is likely where development would occur here moving forward. The project is absolutely enormous. It's the size of Manhattan in length, but a little bit wider than that. And, you know, we focused on the west, but there are 135 targets for us to continue to explore. This updated mineral resource represents less than 10% of the known vein strike on the project. These are the type of districts that are known in Mexico to be billion-ounce districts and very similar to San Dimas up the road from us. The big difference from Panuco to San Dimas is, of course, San Dimas has been in production for 100 years, commercial production for 100 years. It built Gold Corp. It's a major mine for First Majestic. We unlocked value here back in 2019 by consolidating both halves of this project for the first time in modern history. And that's the reason we've been successful with exploration. I think people always knew there was metal here, but no one had the ability to explore it like we have now. So our resource that we released on Tuesday of this week, this is a busy table. I'm going to summarize it in the best way I can here. But this was essentially a doubling of our maiden resource. But what's really interesting is that the grade went up significantly, and that's driven by the COPALA vein. The COPALA vein was a discovery that we made at the end of 2021. We drilled it all through last year until the September cutoff for this resource. So already this is a stale resource. We've been drilling for 3-4 months since then. But COPALA has been an absolute game changer. And I'll talk about the reason it's a game changer in a second, but the reason that it's influenced our mineral resource here is because this has the most contained metal and it's very high grade. So we have 7.5 million tons at 437 grams per ton silver equivalent for 105 million ounces in the indicated category. We have 7.2 million tons at 491 grams silver equivalent for 114 million ounces of silver equivalent in the inferred category. Now, this isn't a company that has silver and lead as a major part of the equivalent calculation. We're 93% precious metals here. Our all-in exploration cost is about 19 cents an ounce discovered. 15 cents since March of 2022, which is our first resource. The project is also very receptive to a higher cutoff. What you'll see is minimal metal loss in the contained metal, but a major increase in grade at the 250 gram cutoff here. So you see the grade in indicated go up to 594 at 250 and 647 silver equivalent in inferred. So really incredible grade response to higher cutoff. And this is why we stand up so well to certainly the universe of explorers and developers here that we see here in this chart. But I would draw your attention to the left-hand side of this chart here where we see the producer segment. So Meg Silver, Las Chispas for Silvercrest, Aya. You can see that, Vizsla in the middle here compares very, very favorably in terms of size to Juanicipio. As a matter of fact, we're shortly, we're just smallly behind them there at 250 million ounces silver equivalent for Juanicipio. And you can see the grade, certainly at the 250 gram cutoff, is very comparable to Meg Silver as well. So this leads me to believe, and our team and our investors to believe, that we're massively undervalued, and we should in time see evaluation more in line with the left-hand side of this chart here, where often these companies trade for billions of dollars in the marketplace. And the driving force behind this is the COPALA structure. It's a monster in the making. COPALA is a near-surface, high-grade, silver-gold-rich structure that hosts half of the Panuco indicated resource. And again, this was discovered in late 2021. We've been drilling it for just over a year now. The average thickness of the COPALA resource wireframe is 10 meters. In Mexico, typically you'll see veins that are 1 to 2 meters. I mean, most of the silver that's mined from veins in Mexico and around the world, the vein width is very small, very narrow, 2 meters max, at an average grade of close to 200 or 250. What we're seeing here is a 10-meter thick structure at a grade that's over half a kilo. And that is a very rare thing to see anywhere, and certainly in the major deposits in Mexico, that is not common either. This is a kilometer of strike. It's open in all directions. It's 400 meters down dip. It's open down dip. This thing is going to grow, and we're drilling it right now. CRISTIANO is adjacent to COPALA. This would be the potential early high-grade feed source for COPALA, and it's even higher grade than COPALA. CRISTIANO is a subvertical vein, and in the indicated category, it grades about 614 grams silver equivalent. In the inferred, just under a kilo or 900 grams silver equivalent. And this is open along strike, it's open at depth. This is going to continue to grow as well, but it's near surface, and this is in the center of mass that we would look to develop first. This is going to be a very important piece of the puzzle for us. Now, as we continue, this is the map that I think can help demonstrate why we think there is, at the very least, multiple hundreds of millions of ounces of silver equivalent potential here. And quite possibly something like a San Dimas, which is over 1 billion ounces of silver equivalent potential. But just in the West alone, in 3 years of drilling from the start of this project, we put together that global resource that I talked about there, over 200 million ounces of silver equivalent at a very, very strong grade. But we barely scratched the surface. We've only tested 30% of the known targets in the district. We have priority targets that we still haven't followed up on. We've made discoveries at, and we're de-risking drilling these discoveries as we speak. But there's still so much more for us to do here. We have 6 full-time mappers in the field, mapping veins, sampling veins. This is a major exploration program, and I suspect that we're going to find more COPALAs, more structures like this, and continue to unlock value here. Now, I'm going over a little bit, but I'll just finish off with a slide here. As I talked about here, there's considerable re-rating potential. We're trading almost at the same price as we were before we put this resource out, and we essentially doubled our resource. Right now, we're trading at 20% of the value that our most direct comparables trade at per ounce at over $5. And as you see us de-risk, and now that we're fully funded to take this through to economics, this is I believe, a no-brainer in terms of the potential to re-rate based on these metrics. And that's if we don't find any more silver at all. I'm confident. I know as the drill rigs turn as we speak right now, we are finding more silver in these veins. So the story is going to continue to get better. It's completely underrated right now and undervalued. And I'm excited for what comes here. So I better leave and get off the stage before we go too far over. Thank you, Eric. Thank you.